Started calling Debbie, my wife, names.
Wait a minute. This wasn't included in the original article that you had. You guys just showed a clip of something that's kind of proves my point. He said, on the trip to Nashville, I was listening to my music. I had it up really, really loud, right? Even though I said I was listening on my headphones, implying that he thinks I wasn't listening on my headphones. All right, so here's a CD player that they feature in this documentary. Obviously, there's no speaker except for the headphone jack. So this directly contradicts what he said here, where he said, even though he said he's listening to it on his headphones. I didn't have to say I'm listening to it on my headphones because everyone knows the configuration of these players. They don't come with speakers typically. So what else would I be listening to them on? Your story is like really, really bad and completely out of touch with reality.
He started calling Debbie, my wife, names.
This is what's confusing, is you say there, he started calling Debbie, my wife, names, but here you completely don't mention that whatsoever. You say you stop, turn around and say, Greg, turn your music down, it's way too loud. Like, you literally nowhere in here do you include me saying anyone is anything. Yet now you're adding information that was critical to your story, possibly because I already proved my story over and over and over again in numerous ways, and now you're having to change your story to fit mine.
I probably felt like choking him.
I probably felt like choking my own son. Sorry, that's just so comically disgusting. My father saying, I felt like choking my own son. He just admitted to it. What a psycho.
Turned around in exasperation and was shaking him and trying to take off the headphones.
Wait, what? He just admitted to shaking me? If you're shaking someone, they can fight you. Oh my God, look at this story here. He says, during a road trip to Nashville, he was listening to music, had it up very, very loud, even though I said he's listening to his headphones. Randy said, Greg, please turn your music down. He wouldn't do it, so I pulled off to an exit. I stopped, turned around and said, Greg, turn your music down. It's way too loud. That's when he went off. He started screaming and was just gonna bolt. He was gonna leave, and so I turned around, unbuckled my seatbelt, tried to reach back, grab his shoulders to keep him from leaving. He doesn't say I was shaking him. When people lie, their stories change. This dude, oh my God.
Saying, Greg, what is wrong with you? Just listen.
Again, he doesn't say he said, Greg, what is wrong with you? Just listen. So where is this new information coming from?
I turned around in exasperation and was shaking him and trying to take off the headphones.
I want you to think about that, okay? He's saying that he turned around and he was shaking me. In order to do that, he would actually have to physically be on top of me through the center console in the middle of the car. So he admits that he's through the middle of the car. And yet here he's saying Debbie was trying to untie his shoes and he was kicking at me, broke my glasses. How could I possibly be kicking at him if she was trying to untie my shoes? And how is she trying to untie my shoes if you're blocking the center console completely with your whole fat body?
The accusation that Randy had tried to choke him, and it's like, what is he talking about?
He just admitted to shaking me, which didn't happen, but shaking and choking, those are both hostile acts. You guys don't realize that you just admitted to assaulting me. Shaking someone is assault. If I walked up to a random person on the street and started shaking them, I would go to jail for assaulting someone. You can't just shake people. So if someone feels threatened, they have a right to defend themselves. You guys just admitted to physically assaulting your own son, and it was actually choking, but I mean, if you're going to admit to shaking me, that's good too.
To 2 years probation and mandatory counseling. They don't do that if there wasn't a real problem, an underlying problem.
Okay, so it says after the incident, Greg returns to live with his mother. So if I was really under probation, how did I almost immediately return to my mother? The fact that I returned to my mother says that I was never on probation for 2 years. Otherwise, I would be stuck living with you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this guy's story, I mean... doesn't mention shaking me here, but then says, oh yeah, I did. I was the person to jump back in the car and shake him. First, he just says he gently put his hand on my shoulder. That's initially what he said early on. And then he changed it to that he reached back and grabbed my shoulders, right, to keep me from leaving. And then he just outright admits to shaking me. This guy, such a bad liar. And Discovery Plus happily presents his slander to the world.